Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to The Discriminating Gamer. Don't you hate it when people answer their own questions? I sure do. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take a look at Star Trek Away missions from Gale Force 9. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. In the core game for Star Trek Away missions from Gale Force 9, two players take on the role of either the Federation or the Borg as they attempt to search the remnants of battleships that were lost during the Battle of Wolf 359. As I say, this game takes place during the Battle of Wolf 359, or just after the Battle of Wolf 359. You'll recall that was when the Federation sent a fleet of about 40 ships to stop the Borg cube on its way to Federation space, on the way to Earth, during the Best of Both Worlds two-parter. Now, in the core game, you have, as I say, the two factions of the Federation and the Borg. Now, representing Starfleet and the Federation, you have Worf, Data, Lieutenant Commander Shelby, and then you have Riker. For the Borg, you have Lord Cutis. This was the transformed Jean-Luc Picard. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of 5 who are helping him. So after you decide which faction you're going to play, you choose a core mission. This is the basic thing you're going to try to do. Now, in the original one, the Borg are trying to assimilate the ship. The Federation is trying to repair the ship. If you can fulfill what it asks for, you get a ton of points. But after you go ahead and you select your core mission, you beam your characters down. You're going to go ahead and put your characters on the board. And you're going to put them in various places the scenario setup will tell you to. In the case of the basic game, just a couple of the Borg are already on the board, and then more are going to come in with each succeeding round. Now, you have two kinds of decks. You're going to have a mission deck and a support deck. And you can actually kind of build the decks before the game begins. But once you get them, you're going to go ahead and you're going to shuffle those decks. Then you draw a number of cards. You'll draw 5 mission cards, and you'll draw 5 support cards. And you can kind of do like a MacGuffin at the beginning if you're not happy with the cards, but you have to keep the cards you get after that. You're going to go ahead then with your decks and your hand then of 10 cards, 5 support and 5 mission cards. You're going to go ahead and begin the game. Now, the game lasts a total of 3 rounds. Now, at the beginning of each turn, you can actually discard any cards you don't want, and then you drop your hand to its hand size. Again, 5 support cards, 5 mission cards. So you can do, like I say, you can manipulate cards a little bit in the first round, but generally that's going to happen. Discard cards you don't want or can't use, and get the cards you want. Now, you may have bonus actions. For instance, if your side has fewer characters on the board than the enemy, then that difference, you can get bonus actions. And you place a bonus action on your character card to show that you can go ahead and take an extra action with that character. Not a full activation, just an extra action. Now, the next thing you do is you're going to essentially roll for initiative. Essentially, high roll wins. You get initiative for that round. Once you figure out initiative, the first player is going to go ahead and begin to activate one of their characters. Then the other side will activate one of theirs, and you'll go back and forth. Now, again, you can, if you've got a character with bonus actions, you can just essentially spend the bonus action and then wait for your activation, or vice versa, however you want to play that out. Now, on your player cards, you kind of have your stats. You have little pegs that you can put in there to show kind of your health levels, and they give you access to different things. You may be able to do skill tests better, or move better, or attack, or defend better. So that's what you can do. You can, on your turn, you can go ahead and attack. You can do a melee attack or a phaser attack. You may get bonuses if you have another character of your faction in the same space with you. But you can go ahead and you can attack by rolling a die. Essentially, you're going to roll all your attack die. Whoever you're attacking is going to roll all their defense die. You're going to line them up in a
special board there that will show you put your highest together, your next highest, all the way down. Now, if the attacker rolls higher than the defender, they inflict damage. If ever the attacker has more die than the defender, any die that don't have another die to be paired up with, if they roll at 4 or better, then they do damage. For every damage the defender takes, they have to go ahead and remove that many of the pegs from their board. So players can move. They have a move number on their player card. They can move up to that number of spaces. You can go into turbo lifts, and they can take it any other turbo lift on the ship there. You can also take a take cover action. If you take a take cover action, you put a take cover token next to you, and essentially, as long as you stay there, you get a roll an additional defense die. As soon as you move, you lose that token. Various cards will have special actions printed on them. You can take the special actions for your action as well. You can use an action to draw a support card or to discard and draw another mission card. Now, frequently, you'll be directed to do skill tests. Essentially, you're going to do die rolls. They may be opposed by other characters, or you can simply try to roll successes on various computer terminals or what have you. Usually, if you roll 4 or better, for every 4 or better, you roll that as a success. Now, throughout this process, as you're going back and forth, you're playing the support cards. The support cards can help you. You can play equipment cards from the support deck, which actually attach to specific characters to give them persistent bonuses. And then critically, you are playing the mission cards. The mission cards are how you score points. So you can go ahead, you can play a mission card, fulfill it, and then claim that card as points you've scored. So there's all sorts of mission cards. Usually they'll make you do skill tests, or you got to go to certain places and fulfill certain things. Sometimes if you are if you're attacked by somebody but you take no damage, you can score a card. So there's all different kinds of cards that you can score during the course of these rounds. Now, after everybody has activated, then you go ahead, you do a little bit of cleanup, and then you go to the next round and the next round. There are a total of 3 rounds in the game. After the end of the 3rd round, you beam back to your ship, you do a debrief, and whoever has scored the most points wins. Star Trek Away missions. So Star Trek Away missions. I've just played the core box. They also have 2 expansions out right now. I haven't yet played with these guys. I'm looking forward to it. Let me give you my impressions of the game here. It's a miniatures game, and first of all, I think the miniatures look great. I think they look awesome. They're almost kind of an exaggerated, cartoony look to them, but I like it. I think they are very cool. I wish they were painted. I'm not a painter. I'd like to see them painted because they look freaking cool, just on their own. I like the characters they chose, particularly for the Federation. Data and Worf are really fun characters to play with. Of course, Worf's great at combat. Data is great at working with the computers. So that's some really cool stuff there. And then Locutus for the Borg is an awesome character to have there as well, an ominous character. Now, you've got the pegs that you put into those character cards to kind of mark their health. I was not a big fan of those. They're just small enough that it's kind of a chore to deal with them. I was not a fan of those little pegs. But I like how they do track not just a general health, but I like how they track, your defense die or your attack die or your movement or your skill checks. I like that you choose, when you take damage, you choose, okay, how is that going to affect me and how is that going to affect my character going forward? It's cool too, I didn't mention that the board can assimilate Federation characters, and you can neutralize other characters. If you neutralize other characters, they're effectively out of the game. It's funny because the Borg are actually kind of weaker than the Federation, but there's more of them, and they can cause more problems, and there's kind of the swarm effect with the Borg, which is a pretty interesting way to actually take that and to look at it. But I really like the card play here. I really like how you use the support cards, and then I really liked how you use the mission cards and how you're scoring them and how the game's about scoring. Which kind of leads me to one of my, I don't want to say negatives, but it's kind of one of the things I'm thinking about. And that is, I really like the game, and I really like scoring the game and scoring those cards and doing the missions. But it's one of those games where you've only got a finite amount of actions, right? Because you take 2 actions on an activation. You can get bonus actions too. And when that happens, particularly in that last round, you've only got limited time. You've really only got a limited amount of time to do what you want to do. So you're wondering, do I screw around fighting with my enemy here, or do I actually just try to work on getting the missions done? Sometimes you don't have a choice. But it's an interesting choice. I kind of wish it was longer than 3 rounds, you know. And what's nice about it being 3 rounds is, you know, it's not a long game, and you know when it's coming up, and I like that a lot. But at the same time, it's when you're having fun, you want to keep going with it. So I don't know, maybe there'll be other missions and scenarios where that changes, maybe. But that was something I was aware of as I was playing it. I think the game, again, aesthetic is great. Board looks great. Cards are screenshots, which I don't have a problem with. Some people do. And then I like the minis themselves. Think it's a great, great package. Now, I want to tell you, in my opinion, there have not been a lot of great Star Trek games. In fact, I would say I played a lot of different Star Trek games, and a lot of them I like, and a lot of them were good, don't get me wrong. But truly great ones, I think there have only been 2 that I have played. And that's Star Trek Fleet Captains from WizKids and Star Trek Ascendancy from Gale Force 9. I think those are 2 great Star Trek games. I think with a little more play and kind of a better understanding of the different dynamics and how the cards work and the situations work, I think this is going to be our next great Star Trek game. I think it is. I think it's a great game. It is fun. I love the theme, but the gameplay is really good. Because again, you've got a finite number of actions you can take, and you've got a finite number of cards you can play to score. I shouldn't say that. You'd usually have more cards to play than you have time. But what I mean is, you don't have a lot of time to get everything scored you want to get scored. And sometimes you're looking at some of those cards, you're going for the big score, and you can't do it. And you got to hope you can get some of those smaller scores done. So I really like this game. I really like it. And like I said, I haven't played with the expansions yet. I've just played the core set. But man, alive, I hope we get more stuff. I like the theme here with the Battle of 359. I'd really be interested to see if they can come up with some other cool scenarios. I really hope they do. And expansion packs that take us to different places and different stories and different times. Because like I say, great thematic game. It nails it. I'd like to see more of the Star Trek universe represented with this game system, because honestly, it's great. It's fantastic, really good. I gotta see. I don't want to make any general statements right now, but I'm going to anyway. I'm looking at a handful of games so far that could be Game of the Year. This is in that bunch. I'm looking at this as possibly one of my games of 2023. We'll see how that plays out. Still got a lot of year left, a lot of more games to play, but I really like this one. Really like it a whole lot. And let me add just an asterisk, a caveat there. If you don't like Star Trek, if you're not a Star Trek fan, I don't know that this game will mean as much to you. I think it's a good game on just generally. I think gameplay is good. But I think because the theme is so strong, and I love that, I think it comes through so well, I don't know that if you're someone who's not a fan of Star Trek, you'll get a big kick out of it. But I loved it. I think this is a fantastic game. Recommendation for the discriminating gamer for Star Trek Away missions, 100% buy it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, I ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. I ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd also ask you, ladies and gentlemen, please check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. I'm currently uploading my World War II lectures onto that channel. So if that's something that might interest you, please subscribe, like that channel. It would mean a lot to me. Also, please like this video here on YouTube and on Board Game Geek. That also helps us out a lot. And if you are a big fan of the channel, the content we bring here, I'd ask you to humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a contribution. That would mean a lot to me as well. You know, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of money, I remember a few years ago, I was so broke I couldn't even pay my electric bill. Those were the darkest days of my life.
Please somebody help me on my feet again, and I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been. Please somebody help me on the solid ground. It's a long time, and I'll be dying. Once a year I wind up in the band. God knows that I love the fight.
Oh, I only got a 2, and you got a 6. So I got a 2, 3, 4. Would you get a 6?
I got a 6.
And a 2, 3, 4. Dang. This guy has explosives. 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't get it. I don't win. So I go back to my ship. Hey! All right.